Hey guys, Alec Torelli. Welcome to Conscious Poker. In this video, I'm going to give you the 5 steps to prepare for the WSOP, specifically the main event. I already have a video on this YouTube called How to Prepare for the WSOP. It's right up here, or you can check it out at consciouspoker.com. Also, while you're on our site, you can subscribe to our newsletter. It's free. It goes out every Monday. We have poker tips, exclusive hand breakdowns, giveaways, and much more. You'll also get our hand reading system, which is the exact methodology I use to figure out what my opponents have, and I'm going to talk about that more today. Also, do me a favor, go down and smash that like button and subscribe to this channel because more awesome content is coming your way here at Conscious Poker. It really helps us grow the channel as well, so thank you in advance for that. Also guys, stay tuned to the end of this video. I'm going to give you a chance to buy a piece of my action at 0 markup. This is just a thank you to all my fans here, so stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll break that down as well. All right, let's dive in. So the first step to get ready for the WSOP is to be prepared mentally and physically. Now, in order to prepare your body physically, you have to have a strong body, strong mind. That saying actually dates back to the Roman times. And so it's really important because I had a client that I was working with, they were preparing for the seniors event, and they said, Alec, my goal is to make day 2. And I said to him, you're already drawing dead. Like you have no chance to win because your goal is to make day 2. It's a 4-day tournament, right? That's like going to the gym and having your trainer saying, hey, Johnny, you're gonna run a mile today. And you say, okay, I can get ready to run a mile. And then after you ran a mile, you're checked out because you've prepared mentally to run a mile. Now imagine that after you ran that mile, your trainer says, John, I'm just kidding, you have to run 5 miles. Well, you're fucked. You're not gonna be able to do it because mentally you've checked out, and the obstacle to run further is so daunting and huge that your mind isn't ready and then your body doesn't follow. That's really the same thing with the main. You have to be ready to play 12 days of poker. Now, what does that mean? You're playing 144 hours of poker in 12 days. 144 hours is a lot. That's as much as most people work in a month, and you're doing that in 12 days. And you know very well, if you make one mistake in 12 days, you lose, right? So how do you play? Not necessarily, you can make small mistakes, but if you make one big mistake for 40 big blinds, you're out of the tournament. So how do you get to the state of mind where you can play 12 days of continuous poker and play at the highest level of your ability to have skill be the biggest factor in your success? Obviously, you can get lucky for 12 days and just win the event, sure, but you want to rely on skill. That's why you're here. So it's really important to prepare a lot mentally, perhaps with a strong mindset routine, working with a coach, meditation, visualization, etc. All the mental hacks. And then also prepare your body physically. You have to sit in a chair for that long, but if you're lethargic because you're eating the wrong foods or your body is not optimized, it's not in shape, you will break down and then mentally you will not be able to perform. So I think that's a huge thing to keep in mind. Number 2 is to be patient. If you look at the structure of the main event, you'll actually notice that even if you don't play day 1, and you end day 1, you'll still have a decent stack. You can still start day 2 with something like 80 big blinds. Now that is pretty huge in a tournament. Most tournaments are not like that. The main event has 2-hour levels as opposed to other tournaments that have sometimes 30 minutes, perhaps at most 1-hour levels. So the structure is 2 to 4 times as long, and therefore there's a lot more play. So you have to be a lot more patient in the main event. One principle I always impart on my clients in tournament poker is that winning chips is not as good as losing chips is bad. And that's true because if you win all of the chips in the tournament, you don't win all the money. But if you lose your stack, the value of your stack goes to 0. So if you double up your stack, the value of your stack, the actual convertible dollar value of your stack does not double. But if you lose your stack, the dollar value of your stack goes to 0. So therefore, risking chips to gain is not as good as losing chips is bad. And therefore, you always have to be more risk adverse in tournaments because winning chips doesn't help you as much as losing chips hurts you. Now, you have to be particularly patient in the main when the levels are 2 hours because you can't win the tournament on day 1, day 2, day 3. Heck, you can't even cash the first 3 days. So it's really a different mindset going into the tournament where you're not looking for every opportunity like you might be in a cash game. You're looking for the best opportunities. And that means sometimes you're passing on slightly profitable opportunities to take only the best opportunities. It's kind of like investing, right? You're not investing in every opportunity that's good because you just don't have the capital for that. You have to be selective with your capital and only invest in the absolute best opportunities where you know you have an edge, right? And so you want to also play the game the tournament to your playing style, right? You want to find situations where you know you have an edge because it fits the situational awareness that you're comfortable with. And so that's an important strategy as well. Number 3 is you want to use what I call stack leverage. This is the idea that bigger stacks can pick on shorter stacks using the principle we just talked about. If you're a short stack and you bust, the value of your stack goes to 0. If you're a big stack and you lose a third of your chips to a short stack, it doesn't affect the value of your stack that much. So big stacks have incentive to gamble with short stacks, whereas short stacks have no incentive to gamble with big stacks. So if you're a big stack, you want to avoid stacks that are bigger than you while simultaneously picking on stacks that are shorter than you. And so that's how you want to selectively target the right people in tournaments. You can do this by 3-betting them pre-flop, re-raising when they open, opening when they limp. So if they limp in, you can raise their open, or you could just attack their blinds or raise or bet post-flop on the flop and bet bigger on the turn to force them to a decision for their entire stack. Now, I talk more about this in my video, The Secret Helped Me Win Millions of Dollars in Tournaments. It's right up here. And I give you a case study that I used with a client as well. All right, tip number 4 is really to practice short stack play. And this is important because pretty much no matter what in a 12-day tournament, you're not going to be the big stack the whole time. Even if you end the chip lead you end day 1 as the chip leader, day 2 as the chip leader, there will eventually be a point where you have a downswing in the tournament, even if you don't bust. You're probably going to wind up at some point with a 20 to 30 big blind stack, and you have to know how to play those stacks. So in tournament poker, you have to know how to play all stack depths. And short stack play is extremely important. Even if the average stack is 50 big blinds, you get half of average, you have 25 big blinds. You're in a situation where you often have to jam all in pre-flop. So you really need to know the situational awareness of when you can shove over opens, when you can call when someone else shoves, and when you could open shove depending on how short you are. So there's a great app I recommend to all my clients. It's called Preflop Plus. It's like $7 a month, and it teaches you these sort of factors. I have a video on this coming out in our membership as well at Conscious Poker, where I really dive deep into the weeds of how to use this app and optimize it. And that's just available at consciouspoker.com for all of our premium members. So definitely recommend this app. It works for anything from 5, 10 big blinds up to 30 big blinds, and it really shows you how to navigate that short stack play. Number 5, of course, is to dominate the final table play. Let's say you get deep in the tournament, you get into the money, and what's called ICM comes into play. It's basically the idea, independent chip modules, it's basically the idea that you want to play the tournament based not on the chip value of your decisions, but on how your decisions affect the value of your stack. So for example, if there's 5 people left and you risk all of your chips to win a pot against someone who's a bigger stack than you, it's not a great proposition for you, because if you lose, you bust in 5th place, but if you double up, you're not guaranteed to get 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st. You're still in the tournament, you're still at risk of busting in 5th. So you really want to be very cautious at the final table, and there's sort of like a formula, so to speak. There's a completely different strategy of how to play final tables that's based on this principle that every time someone busts, you earn more money, and therefore the risk-reward proposition at the final table is dramatically different than any other situation in poker. It's different than cash games, it's different than tournaments when you're not at the final table, and there's a lot of counterintuitive things. There are situations that are completely counterintuitive to everything you ever learned in poker because the risk-reward situations are orders of magnitude different. So there's certain situations where it's correct to not play anything other than aces or kings pre-flop. And that's just not how normal poker works. That's not how people grow up in poker. It's not how people learn poker. And that's not applicable to other situations in poker. And so that same framework dictates every single decision you make at a final table. And so you really need to be aware of how every decision you make at a final table influences the value of your stack. And the main principle is, if you are a very short stack, it's okay to take risks because you're expected to bust. If you're a very big stack, it's okay to take risks, and you want to target short stacks or you want to target middle stacks because the middle stacks have the most incentive to fold and wait for the short stacks to bust to move up the pay ladder. So the dynamic at a final table is changing hand by hand. The strategy is literally changing every single hand, depending on where the chips move and who is to your left, who's to your right, and who has the big stack. And also from an exploitative standpoint, who is aware of these strategies, who's leveraging them, who's using them, who can be exploited, and who's exploiting other people. So I talk about this a lot more in our membership as well. There's a program called ICMizer. It's the gold standard of how to use this strategy to dominate and crush final tables. Have an entire video and multiple modules on this in the membership at Conscious Poker. That's all at consciouspoker.com. Click on membership. It's one of our premier products. It's awesome, and really confident that's going to help you as well. So finally, as promised, I am going to Vegas to play the main event, and I am going to be selling pieces of my action. Absolutely no markup. This is just a thank you to all of my fans, you guys, for your support throughout the years. Some of you have been following me for 15 years. It really means the world to me, and I don't think I'd be in this place in my career without you guys. And so your support's mean the world. So I am selling a piece of myself in the main event at no markup. Just go to consciouspoker.com, enter your email anywhere. This is exclusively for our subscribers. I want to give this to the most loyal fans. This will be available on stakekings.com. Make sure you have an account there. I will be putting a password to protect the ability to buy my action. So I will send out that password in our newsletter called Crush Mondays. It goes out Monday, July 3rd, and I play on the 5th, so this is only available for 48 hours. Very confident this will sell out. And yeah, you have a chance to take a piece. I hope we final table, and I really appreciate your support. Follow me on social media as well, on Twitter at Alec Torelli, Instagram at Alec Torelli. I'll keep you updated with my journey there as well. I'll be sharing hand histories, breakdowns, more awesome things as well on social media. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.